You want to listen to a podcast?
By who?
Georgia GOP Congressman Doug Collins.
How is it?
The greatest thing I have ever heard in my whole life.
I could not believe my ears.
In this house, wherever the rules are disregarded, chaos and mob rule. It has been said today, where is bravery? I'll tell you where bravery is found and courage is found. It's found in this minority who has lived through the last year of nothing but rules being broken, people being put down, questions not being answered. And this majority say, be damned with anything else. We're going to impeach and do whatever we want to do. Why? Because we won an election. I guarantee you, one day you'll be back in the minority and it ain't gonna be that fun. Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Glad you're with us. Just want today, after the break, we're going to cut into some things going on. You know, that we've talked about a lot about the Israel war. We've talked about the issues here in the United States. Biden. I want to touch on some of those, maybe not getting as much attention. One of the things I want to focus on too is this fact that what's going on our college campuses, what's going on in our media concerning Hamas, and really how it's affecting the presidential race. It's affecting Joe Biden. Affecting Democrats. We're seeing this all along, so I want to just touch on that, but we're going to get into it all right after the break. Hey, folks, you know, when you look out and you see the country and just the disarray it is, you see the Biden administration, you see the wholesale prices have just went through the roof again. Inflation is tearing us up. If you have your finances all impinged in just a few areas, if you're just in stocks and bonds and you're not diversified, I got some news for you. You need a navigator. You need somebody to help you get to where you need to go with those finances. And I can't think of anybody better to do that than my friends at Legacy Precious Metals. You need precious metals in that portfolio. You need gold and silver. And Legacy Precious Metals, the folks there, they're the navigators. They know how to deal with tough times. They know and how to look ahead and take your personal situation and make it something that can be workable for you in the long term, because that's, at the end of the day, that's the one you're most concerned about. You need to make sure that your personal finances and your retirement are secure. You need folks like Legacy Precious Metals helping you in that. They will take the time to learn you. They'll learn your finances. They'll learn where your investment goals are, and they'll help you get there. And metals and gold right now, in this kind of crazy inflation, in this kind of crazy economy with the Biden's economy, is just, you need that help. And Legacy Precious Metals is the one to do that. So give Legacy Precious Metals a call, 866-528-1903, 866-528-1903, or you can always visit them online at legacypminvestments.com, and you can download their free investor's guide. Legacy Precious Metals, they're the ones you need. They're the navigators to help you through these turbulent times. Hey everybody, it's MyPillow's 20th year anniversary, and over 80 million MyPillows have been sold. Mike Lindell and MyPillow wants to thank each of you and every one of you for giving you the lowest price in history on their MyPillows. You will receive a queen-size MyPillow for $19.98. Regular price is $69.98, and just $10 more for a king size. You will receive deep discounts on all MyPillow products, such as bed sheets, mattress toppers, pet beds, mattresses, my slippers, and so much more. This is a time to try out something other than the amazing products that you've had your eye on. Go to mypillow.com, click on the radio podcast square, and use the promo Collins, Collins, to receive this amazing offer on the queen size MyPillow for $19.98, or call 800-986-3994. This offer comes with a 10-year warranty and 60-day money-back guarantee. It's time to start getting the quality sleep you deserve. You know how I know that? Because I sleep on a MyPillow every night. Go to mypillow.com and use promo code Collins, Collins, or call 800-986-3994 today. All right. As I promised before the break, we're going to get into dealing with this whole issue of the Israel war, the conflict that started. Let's also go back, and what is interesting to me is less than a month, we have almost forgotten, it seems like, on some of the mainstream media here in the United States, why this war is taking place. Let's go back to October 7th, when the Hamas terrorists came across the border, cut the fence, coordinated assault. And I heard something just recently that I thought was very interesting. They were real big and brave when they were fighting kids and women and people at a dance party and grandmas and granddads. They were real big. They would take pictures and they would do videos and they'd show them cutting them up and shooting them and doing all this kind of horrific stuff. They took great pleasure now. But these thugs now are hiding behind women and children in Gaza City while Israel is pouring down on them the wrath that they so deserve. And really, the people of Palestine, the Palestinians who are living in Gaza, ought to turn on them as well. I mean, because they're the ones that have actually caused this horrific catastrophe for them to happen. It is those basically cowardly Hamas thugs who, like I said, thought it was so cute to tape everything and to show people how they kill women and children and how bad they were. And now they're cowering like children in the corner behind women and children in hospitals and mosques and in their tunnels when the retribution that is coming to them is coming down. What is interesting enough is we've sort of started to go away from that. The media, the ABCs, the CBSs, the CNNs, the MSNBCs have all tried to downplay in a ceasefire, and we need to stop. The Biden administration has sent over Anthony Blinken to have pauses to get humanitarian aid. Remember, once the humanitarian aid is dropped off, unless it is actually distributed by the humanitarian aid groups that are coming in so that it gets to the people that it is supposed to get to, Hamas will take it over. And if you give them gas, Hamas is going to steal it. If you give them water, Hamas and food, Hamas is going to steal it until they are completely wiped out. This is not a legitimate function of how this battle is taking place. Now, a lot of things still going on, and by the time you hear this, some things even more may have gone. Hezbollah is still not completely engaged like we have seen them on many other occasions threatened. They've not engaged, although their leader has said now that after what's going on in Gaza that they will. But I want to just go in here for just a minute and notice how that the media doesn't seem to want to report this. It's just you turn on the media and the way they report it is really more left Hamas supporting material than anything else. In the first few days, I think there was general agreement that of protection for Israel and looking forward. But our major media is not covering this. They're and the college campuses, and I'm going to talk on this for just a second. Allowing there's one thing to allow freedom of expression, First Amendment rights, which I fully support. Even things that frankly are disgusting. The problem is what many of these protesters, these pro-Hamas protesters, I refuse to call them pro-Palestinian protesters, but these pro-Hamas protesters are basically threatening the Jewish folks on campus. They're threatening the total annihilation of the Jewish state. This is what is in Hamas's charter. They see no way. In fact, the Hamas leadership just the other day, last week, stated that they will continue to make these attacks, until they take the Israel is off of their land. In other words, they want to exterminate and remove the Jewish people. What is going on, and by extension on the college campuses, is you have Jewish students who are not being protected by their college administrators. They're enduring chance of removal of Jewish people, removal of the Jewish state, and we're talking extermination here. I made this comment a week or so ago when I was on Outnumbered, and I said, this idea of never forget is that we've already started to forget. And when it came to a realization that these Hamas thugs, were burnt, literally baking a kid. I'm not making this up. This is how sick they are. They were cutting babies out of the womb and killing the child and then killing the mother while the mother watched. I mean, this is just some horrific stuff. We seem to forget. And all we want is, quote, peace at any cost. Folks, these thugs do not understand peace. If they did, they would quit sitting in their homes and then going out and shooting rockets and missiles into Israel on a regular basis. They have no desire to find a peaceful solution. They have no desire to work out a situation in which they can coexist. They have no desire to do this. And so in watching what's going on the college campuses, as I've been sitting with Jewish friends, as I've reached out to Jewish friends, it is a interesting dilemma in how they are having to go about. Security's having to be increased at mosque. They're having to go. They're not able to do things with their families. That they're saying you're seeing the missing posters being pulled down in places like New York City. Again, just in a total denial of it is Hamas and the terrorists of Hamas, led by Iran, who funds Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis in Yemen, and the Iranian armed military groups that are Iranian-aligned military groups, that they fund them all with a specific intent of, making Israel go away. And that's just, it is interesting. Hamas has been trying to spin this to the international community. And Hamas is asking for a ceasefire on humanitarian grounds. It's really interesting. To the Arab world, and they give two messages to two different audiences. This was reported last week. They give two different messages. The first message being to the Arab world, it pledges to repeat October 7th attacks and sacrifice as many Palestinians as it takes, and to sacrifice as many Palestinians as it takes to destroy Israel. That was the message of Hamad, the member of the Hamas Politburo, in October 24th, just the other day, article in interview in Lebanese television. We must teach Israel a lesson, he says, and we will do this again and again. And the Al-Aqsa flood. The name Hamas gives its October 7th operation to slaughter defenseless Israelis. It's just the first time, and there will be a third and a second and a third and a fourth. As this was translated, from in the Middle East by the media research in the Middle East. That's what a ceasefire means to Hamas. A chance that October 7th repeat itself on another day and go. Now, to the west, the humanitarian pause gaining steam in the left is to merely an opportunity to reload. They're not looking to help their people. They're not looking to get everybody back to normal, turn the electrics on, make sure that the medical personnel are there. They're not doing that. They are simply looking for time to reload, regroup, and move hostages and take them out of where they're at right now. So, again, these are the messages that are being sent. If you're not seeing these messages, you need to understand it. The Times of Israel, around 80% of the people in Lebanon support Hamas's October 7th onslaught in southern Israel. I mean, they've named it. They take great pride in this. This is not something that they are backing away from. And you need to understand this. So when you start hearing all these people say, that they need to, pause and ceasefire, and we're hearing this from the Biden administration, sending Anthony Blinken over to do this, that is a help to Hamas. Let's just be very blunt and frank about this. If you want them to have a chance to reload, so to speak, regroup, get their materials together so that they can then try to fight off the attack from the IDF, then you support a time in which they will have to have a ceasefire in which they could reload themselves. Look, this is not going to be a humanitarian effort. This is not going to be something that they're willing to, to get people out of the way, because they're using them as human shields. Again, the same thugs that went out and videotaped themselves killing innocent women and children and grandparents are the same ones who are hiding behind the skirt tails of women and children now in Gaza. So let's just be very blunt there. So this idea of the media treating this differently, again, and I see this over and over here in the United States, that this is a problem for us as well. Now, there are many different ways we could approach this. And by giving supplies, Israel has never asked us to fight their battles for us. Never have, ever since they were created, in the sense they became back to their homeland. This is something they've never asked. And, we can continue to supply them with materials, supply them with armaments, supply them with the things that they need to do the job themselves. That is completely true. And you've got some people who don't want to do that. And again, I'm as conservative, fiscal conservative, and I'll tell you how we actually balance the budget all the time. But there are always, and this is one of the things that I've struggled with people who want to say it's got to be a strict balanced budget, you can't spend anything outside the budget, is that things like war come up. If you allow Israel to go under, then you have empowered Iran and all of the militant thugs in the Middle East to just go whatever and do whatever they want to do. And if you don't think they're coming here, you're just foolish. We already have a border in which we have no idea who's coming across. And what we do know scares us to death. And you're willing to turn over the Middle East. I mean, if you're in Europe right now and you're not upping your commitment to Israel, I don't understand. I mean, we're already seeing it in London and Paris and Sweden and Germany, these mass protests of those who migrated, who were forced upon these countries during the migration issues that came out of Turkey and into Greece and out of North Africa. And there's no controlling this. So, folks, let's be understanding here when we understand that there's not negotiating. Hamas does not want to negotiating in this. They do not want to be a part of a solution. They simply want to kill Jewish people. That's all they want to do. And they want to wipe them off of the proverbial map. And I think this is the thing that many people in the U.S. are becoming more and more concerned about. And the Biden administration is taking that path. For all the spin that was coming out of the Biden supporters saying, well, this is the right man for the job. He's the one to have the perfect temperament to deal with this. He knows all the people. He knows all the players. Well, the first thing that basically after he says is we support Israel unconditionally is then start sending in his Secretary of State and back channeling through others that they need, that Israel, first off, is interesting. Every time he talks about it, he says Israel needs to make sure they follow the rules of engagement. They need to follow the make sure that they're doing it by the book, if you would. Joe Biden has never said that to the Ukraine. And again, they've tried to lay this and say, well, there's two different wars, there's two different issues. Look, if you're going to support one and make them, quote, enforce them into taking the international rules of war or combat, however you want to put it, and apply those and make sure that you're helping everybody, then you need to apply it in all areas in which you're involved. And for many times, it does appear and that the administration is sort of using the Ukrainian and now the Israel conflicts to sort of play one off of the other. And they're desperate to get money for both. At the end of the day, it's all about money. And I think that's becoming the concern for most Americans is they're sitting here seeing this happen over and over again. And they're saying there's no plan. Now, understand something. Israel has a definite plan to what they're doing in Gaza. They're going to take out Hamas. They're going to go door to door, tunnel to tunnel, whatever they need to do. They're going to take out Hamas because they're tired of their country getting shelled every day by these militant idiots in the Gaza area. Now, you still have the Hezbollah problem in the north. You have the other issues in the West Bank, but these are all issues that they deal with on a regular basis. Here in America, we cannot even comprehend this. And you've got Joe Biden that is, making it worse by saying you've got to have this pause and you got to follow all these international laws and rules and protect people, which, again, he applies nothing to the Ukraine with this. Now, here's an interesting issue. The House last week, as you well know, and by now the Senate is trying to take up how they did this. When they passed the Israel aid bill, you had all Democrats except, I think it was 14, vote against it. Now think about that for a second, because they put the IRS money ahead of Israel aid. They thought it best to vote against taking money from expanding the IRS. And again, you can have a technical determination, whatever you want to term that, but this is what you did. Whether you can try and explain it or not is up to you. But it's taken out of the fact that you put the IRS agents who are looking into everything from your Venmo account to the multimillionaires that they claim that they're looking into. And you put that ahead of Israel. Now, you can say, well, Biden's going to veto it, Senate ain't going to go along with it. But, okay, then what would it matter if you'd have voted yes? Except you don't want to be on record as helping Israel and taking the wrath of the squad and others on the political left of the Democratic Party. That's just the brutal reality of this. Now, interesting issue. You don't have to worry about, as I said a few minutes ago, you don't have to worry about Israel having a plan here. Israel has a plan. I mean, this is what they're working through right now. They're working through this determination to get rid of Hamas in Gaza. And they're doing it in a strategic fashion with their explosive ordnance. Then they're going in with their laying their engineers. They're making sure the buildings are safe. Then they're going in and they're fighting in a street-to-street fashion. But this is the way they're going to root out the terrorists. Now, it's interesting enough to me, though, that the same folks who are so involved in trying to make sure Israel does it a certain way are the same ones who have given billions of dollars to this Zelensky in Ukraine and never asked for a real plan or strategy. And that's the thing that's concerning most of my friends who are members in D.C. right now. They look at Ukraine and they understand the risk with Putin. They understand with needing, that Putin needs to be stopped and that he needs to not have to get away with what he's gotten and doesn't need to keep any of the Ukrainian land. But they are very, unfortunate to say we don't have a plan here. And so I think many people in the left and the right are coming to this conclusion saying, okay, what is the plan for Ukraine? How are we making sure that we're actually getting a solid military strategic outlook for the Ukrainian soldiers to go after the Russian soldiers? And they've held out for almost 2 years. You got to give them credit for that. But this was supposed to be their spring in which they outmounted their offensive to push Russia back at least to the border, if not over the border. And none of it happened because they mistook what Russia did to fortify their areas, what Russia had done to bring in other troops, reinforcements that make it almost impossible for the Ukrainian-sized force to remove the Russians out of the areas in which they're in. So again, I think it's an honest question by some, not in the long term, but an honest question to say, what is the plan for this money if we're supposed to spend it in Ukraine? Now, again, you got border issues that we're not even talking about. You got all these things going on. But look at the narratives out there. And this is what I want to sort of end with you today is just look at the narratives that are going on out there. And you have the left who is never thought once about telling Vladimir Zelensky to cease fire, never once presented a real plan for how the military money was supposed to be used in Ukraine, have no desire to tell Vladimir Zelensky, make sure you use this in appropriate ways against Russia and that you don't violate any norms of warfare. But yet every time we turn around, they're saying something like that to Israel. They're going into the media saying we want to see a ceasefire, we want to see a humanitarian aid, and that we'll negotiate with terrorists. That's what they're saying is they negotiate with the terrorists to get the hostages back. Again, it's pretty amazing because in our ways, you never hear that America has agreed to negotiate with terrorists. And that's exactly what we're asking Israel to do is to pause their work that they're doing over there to root out the terrorists and to hold them accountable. While at the same time, the United States is saying, hey, hold off here. Let's give them some aid. Let's see if we can work this out. Two totally different battlefronts, two totally different approaches. And this is what has Americans upset. They want to see America that is strong. They want to see America that's morally consistent. And for my Jewish listeners and Jewish friends, there are many of us here who have not forgotten that our commitment to you is one of our most invaluable and sacred trust, and that what happened on October 7th is barely something we want to comprehend. We have our own 9/11. Yours, when compared to the size of your country and the size of the population, was 20 times worse. I heard somebody the other day describe it that we would have to lose like 35,000 to 45,000 people on the same day to give an indication of how much that would actually affect United States and Israel enduring these same attacks. We need to continue to stay with you, stand with you as we go forward in this. And folks, I'm going to just say it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be something that is a good to see, but it's also the what happens when you have Hamas thugs do what they did on October 7th. So look, be very aware of the two standards out there on how to talk about this, with the liberal media doing more toward a ceasefire and not really discussing the blatant downplaying of the Palestinians under Hamas rule, the not giving Netanyahu or even the Speaker of the House a chance at putting forth something that could help Israel, and then dealing with the fact that we need a better plan on Ukraine for the money that we're spending over there. Just watch those narratives. Those are the things that will continue to play out. This is not going anywhere anytime soon. So I just wanted you to have that information today as you get ready for it. So with that, we'll see you next time on the Doug Collins Podcast.